State that it is 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, December 18th, 2018, and that we are in council chambers, 200 South Street, Morristown, New Jersey. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided according to law by written notice to the Morristown Daily Record, the official newspaper of the town of Morristown, and to the Newark Star Ledger, both more than 48 hours ago. Notice was also posted on the bulletin board at Town Hall and filed with the office of the town clerk of the town of Morristown. I do further state that I shall enter into the minutes of this meeting a statement that such notice was furnished as particularly described by me in this public announcement. Roll call. Councilman Armington.
Here.
Councilwoman Davis.
Here.
Councilwoman Deeb.
Here.
Councilman Elms.
Present.
Councilman Iannacone.
Here.
Councilman Silva.
Present.
Council President Foster.
Here.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence. Followed by the rise of the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, I know it's listed on the agenda executive session, but we have none, so we'll move on to the consent agenda.
There are 4 items on the consent agenda this evening. Unless a member of council has any questions or comments on any one of those items, I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, at this time, we are at the public hearing portion. And so, are we gonna have a
No, just,
you don't have anybody from any of these organizations?
oh, is Visions and Pathways here? Oh, do you want to?
You wanna come before us regarding your CDBG application?
I have to sign this, right? I have to sign this. Where?
Mike,
There's no tabs.
just state your name, address, and the organization you're here to represent.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Amaya. We are at 175 Washington Street, and I'm here representing Visions and Pathways. And you want to know about, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was going to speak, so you want me to talk about
Yeah,
the
just a
grant?
brief,
Okay. So we are a nonprofit organization working with youth who are homeless, runaway, or at risk. We work with them ages 13 to 24. The grant that we are applying for is for our life skill, or independent life skills program, which will work with the youth to get them the life skills that they need to become self-sufficient and independent, making sure they have their vital documents, making sure they have stable employment, working with them to let them know that just because you don't like a job the one day doesn't mean you don't have to go back. You have to continue to do it until we find something else. Getting them back enrolled in school, making sure they have stable, secure, safe housing, and making sure all of that stuff is done for them so that they can become productive members of society.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone here from the Morristown Neighborhood House? Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any members of the public wishing to speak on this CDBG grant application for Vision and Pathways? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Anyone here from the Morristown Neighborhood House? How are you?
Good evening. My name is Pamela DeMasi. I'm the Director of Grants and Program Development for Cornerstone Family Programs in Morristown Neighborhood House, and we are submitting a grant application for the Community Development Block Grant for Morristown Neighborhood House School-Age Childcare Scholarships for Low-Income Children. We're requesting a grant in the amount of $50,000. We have 175 kids enrolled in kindergarten through 8th grade. This grant is to subsidize 42 kids who are enrolled in the before and after school programs who meet the HUD eligibility requirements for family income. These families receive CFR Children and Family Resources subsidy and struggle to meet the copay requirements. The program runs Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. They were provided with morning breakfast, after-school meal, snacks are provided daily. They receive daily activities, including homework assistance, education, recreation, arts, health enrichment. The Morristown School District provides the transportation there. Last year, Morristown Neighborhood House received an award as a ambassador program by the National After School Alliance, which is a national recognition. As many of you know, if you have the application in front of you, you're probably familiar with Morristown Neighborhood House and the surrounding community. Census Tract 435 experiences many socioeconomic disparities. Our mission is to give families a pathway to economic success and level the educational playing field for their children. Our scholarships provide equitable access to quality, affordable childcare, allowing families to work, complete academic or vocational training, and become independent participants in the community. We also employ many of our staff from the neighborhood, so this also contributes to our local economy. So does anyone have any questions about the grant application that you have before you?
Can you spell your last name for the record,
D is in
please?
David, E, capital M is in Mary, ASSI.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on behalf of the grant application for the Morristown Neighborhood House? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing on that. Do we have any other members of the public wishing to come before us on any other matter on this evening? Yes. Take your time.
Good evening, I'm Donald Kissel, 91 Chestnut Street, Morristown. Been a resident of the town for more than 50 years. Worked on a number of different committees and facilities, from zoning to Environmental Commission, and now presently am a member of the Water Authority. I'm on the board of directors of the Water Authority. I serve with Bobby Iona Cohn's dad. And Mary Doherty, the mayor's wife, and I are co-representatives to the town of Morristown on that board. I have been on the Finance Committee for perhaps 10 years now on the board. We have 4 or 5 year terms, and my term is up this February. Last year, I was the chairman of the board, but my most important work is on the Finance Committee, and it is my goal, as well as it is Mary's, to keep the rates for our constituents in Morristown as low as possible. Margot, the town clerk, has circulated a little one-pager that I created for telling you about me and what I do, and showing you how effective the Water Authority is for our town, and in comparison to the state of New Jersey. And we are on the lowest quadrant of any of the water authorities that serve on the state. We're about third or fourth or fifth down. And we keep it that way because we keep a very tight rein on costs and expenses. I am here tonight to just show you my face and to ask you to please reappoint me when the voting is held. I think it's going to be held next month. My term runs out in February, but I think the voting for the reappointment is going to be next month, and I just wanted to show my face to some of the newer members. Michael Elms and I have worked on committees, and Armington and I have worked on committees, and Bobby Iona Cohn I know, and Allison Deeb is my council person from my ward. So, but I wanted to get my face in front of people who didn't know me and say, simply, please reappoint me for the next 4-year or 5-year stint at the Water Authority. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You done?
1 second, Lenore Smith. Yes, Linda.
Good evening. My name is Linda Carrington with a C. and I live at 49 McCullough Avenue. And I'm here, I have 3 items. I'll talk about 2 of them in this section. One is on the unfinished business on your agenda, you're talking about the residential parking ordinances. On my street, we are posted, and you have free parking for 2 hours on weekdays. My problem is on a weekday, on a Monday, I often have a meeting at my house which lasts for 3 hours. So that means I have to buy about 10 permits. And the first 2 hours are free, so that means the third hour is $5. And I don't think you charge $5 an hour for parking in any of the garages or lots. So I just want to add that. Also, on a Monday night, I have a different meeting coming. And these are most of my friends are elderly. Some of them have walkers and canes. But in any event, they would be coming at night, and there's no parking without a permit. So again, if I have 10 cars coming, I have to buy permits for them based on what I read the other night. So I don't know what your proposal is going to be, but I want you to consider the impact that it has on people who are just entertaining infrequently. I mean, this might be once a year I have these meetings. And the second item is the design guidelines. And when I came to the redevelopment meeting on Thursday, I mentioned the design guidelines, which the town adopted, I think, in 2006 or 2009. And since that time, the town has adopted new zones. So I want you to look at these guidelines and see how they would apply and if they should apply to any of the changes in the zones. And the other item I'm going to talk about when you vote on the ordinance for adoption about utilities in new buildings. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda. Oh, yes, come before us, please.
Hello, my name is Pedro Aguila. I live at
You said
13.
Pedro?
Pedro, Pedro, Aguila, Aguila. I live at 13 Collis, and I'm here to speak about the parking ordinance too. And for me particularly, I feel it's unfair to limit the number of permits that you can have. If I don't know where that number came from, that number 3, it seems capricious and arbitrary to me. But if a car is registered here in Morristown, if it's insured here in Morristown, and you should have the right to have a sticker on there that allows you to park in front of your house. I can't see why. I mean, I personally have 6 cars. I mean, they're not all, every one of them is registered. I mean, 2 of them are antique automobiles. I take them out occasionally, but when I do take them out, I don't want to risk getting a ticket by leaving them out for a few hours or overnight or 2. And I just feel that when I first heard about that ordinance, I mean, I can understand the whole reason why we have resident parking. And I think the intention is to keep people that aren't residents, from parking and taking advantage of our streets so they can go into either work or have to, go on a train. But if you're a resident of Morristown, if you live in Morristown, if they're registered in Morristown, why can't you park in Morristown? And that's what I like to say. I don't know if you've considered that yet or not, but it's definitely something that it's going to impact me and other people too. Again, I don't know where that 3 number came from.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no other members of the public wishing to be heard, I will close the public portion. Any questions or comments from council members regarding the public hearing?
I have a couple of comments. Actually, with reference to Linda's comment, with reference to regular events that you might have at your home, what we discussed with administration during the hearing was it's merely a call either to the parking authority or to the police or to the town hall and let them know you're having that regular event. Again, it wasn't the intention to make it overly burdensome on people who are having a regular card game, a regular meeting, or some kind of club meeting at their home. So a notice to the town, and that was actually during the time we were vetting out the ordinance that was discussed, and I believe that is the understanding of administration also.
That's correct.
And on the second point, with reference to the design guidelines, you are correct that the design guidelines, at least the draft that we were reviewing, is dated August 24th, 2006. So there's been a change in the land use ordinance, and one of the things I think maybe we want to consider is a time to also update the 2006 guidelines. You know, since that time, we have a very effective new land use ordinance in place. The definition of the zones has changed, and the references in the central business district guidelines has probably changed also because of the change in the underlying zoning ordinance. So it may be a good recommendation, it may be a good opportunity at this time to take a look at those design guidelines. Are they still applicable? How do we want to change them? I don't know how we would go about it. I think it might be a committee of the planning board, or same way we adopted the land use ordinance, where it goes to the planner works on it, makes a recommendation, brings it to the public. I find we generally do a pretty good job when we do these kind of projects in town, so that's something we may want to discuss later in the meeting.
Thank you. Any other council members have comments on the public hearing? All right,
You want me to follow up on anything?
can you, please?
Sure. Mr. Iannacone is correct on the, if you're going to have a few people over your house, you're going to have an extra hour, 2 hours, just call the parking authority and the police department, and tickets won't be issued. Secondary, as far as the guidelines that were brought up by Linda Carrington, I've instructed the business administrator to have the planning department look into the guidelines and cross-reference them with the new zoning codes, and prepare a memo for not only us, but for the council, and that's a good place to start. So thank you, Linda. Third is the gentleman on Collis, who's my neighbor from around the corner, had reached out, I guess it's 2 weeks now, on this issue. And it is interesting because there are, I just asked the business director where the number 3 came from. I think the council came up with 3 per dwelling. And there are some houses that obviously have 5, 6 bedrooms, especially in our district, maybe even more. You may have 4 or 5 at-age people that can drive, and it could be something that the council, I don't know how we address it, but that's why I asked to have it put back on the agenda, so we can have another discussion about it before we take action, before you make it law. So if we can either table it for one more meeting and then have some more in-depth discussions about, sorry, Beach? Anything?
The ordinance already passed, but we can table the discussion.
Oh, we did? We passed it already?
We did.
Okay, so
You can always
let's,
amend it.
Yeah,
we can absolutely do that. So can we
So-
schedule this for the first meeting in January? And let's have some correspondence back and forth with the council, the clerk, and the administration on maybe some tweaks. I think the intent is right. And each neighborhood is different.
Correct.
Every neighborhood is different, and we know it's important to some of the neighborhoods the councilman deals with. So we maybe have to take a little bit deeper look on how we address it, and maybe there's somehow we can move it to where it fits all the neighborhoods. Something I think we have to look at. I think it has a legitimate argument. He actually has a corner house that faces 2, and it's a fairly, decent-sized house, and I think he has a separate dwelling to the property, which adds another 3. So to have only 3, so it's, each dwelling unit has allowed 3.
Actually, the
So-
ordinance is per dwelling unit.
Right, so if he has 2,
That's 6.
that's 6. So he should be able to have 6 at his property. Yeah, so you want 9, is what you're saying? So that's 9 altogether for your property? Yeah, all right, we can't do back and forth, but we're going to I'd ask the council to take a look at it.
So I would just have a question, because since we already adopted it, so how are we going to handle enforcement? We haven't
taken
into an
It
effect.
hasn't, no.
Okay.
So we have time.
Okay.
So I would like to bring it up the next meeting, and we'll have some correspondence back to you guys from us and see if we can find a solution for a few issues that may be looked at. 9 could be a little bit, I'll put on the record, mine could be a little bit tough to give 9 permits for one house.
Excuse me, we can't have
I'm not saying it's not going to happen, I'm not going to go back and
audience.
forth. I'm just going to ask the council to relook at it and see if they want to tweak it.
Because every street is different, and so, like, where I live on a dead-end street, so even if if we tweak it, it may not be accommodating for if, somebody has, a property where they have 6 cars registered, because there may not be enough parking spaces for one dwelling unit to have 6 parking registrations. So I think, as you suggested, we table it and, try to redefine it so that it'll be suitable, by district or by ward, but it's definitely something, I guess, that we need to kind of revisit.
Well, we can, I
January.
think we should just look at it and see if there's any tweaking we can do, and if not, it's not. I mean, but let's at least take a look at it and take a stab at it.
I think it's related to the density of the underlying district.
Sure. No
The
doubt.
the R1 district is much less dense, and so there's a lot more parking available per house. The RT district, or the, whatever it is now, is a lot more dense, and there's frankly not enough room for 2 cars per house. So, so I think
Yeah, okay.
And considering that many houses in that ward don't have driveway.
Yeah, there are some that don't.
So we'll
right,
look forward to discussing it.
Appreciate the residents 13 Collis coming out and continuing this discussion. Thank you for coming out. Thank you, council.
Thank you. All right, moving on to Mayor, we don't have any proclamations, but.
No proclamations or certificates. I can run through this quickly. Am I up, or are we going to do?
Yeah,
No.
no, we've
Okay.
already done council.
All right, Wednesday, the 5th, we had the lighting of menorah on the Morristown Green via the Morristown Jewish Center. On the 12th, there was a senior holiday party here on the 3rd floor. It was a huge success. It was Councilwoman Hillary Davis was in attendance. Allison, I didn't see.
I had to work.
I know, Allison is always at that, and I know they look forward to, especially with
couldn't
the
get
working
out.
dog, because she. So, but it was a great success. We had a huge turnout, and we want to thank all the vendors, the restaurants, and ShopRite for how they set it up. It was really a great turnout. On the 14th, we had a town employee holiday party in the senior center. As a business administrator and myself had said, they're the front line of everything we do: police, fire, emergency response, DPW, our clerical, all the people that work in town hall. Really, that's what makes this town successful and keeps everything running smoothly. So we thanked everybody that was there, and those who weren't there, I'm sure, got their message from their bosses. On the 16th, which was Sunday, do you want to say something really quick?
You can say it first.
All right, so Our Youth, Their Future Holiday Spectacular was held up in the Senior Center. Now, for those who don't know what Our Youth, Their Future is, it's a nonprofit that our council president is involved in, pretty much is the head of it. And I think there were 183 kids signed up for this event, and it's great. They make gingerbread houses. They communicate with each other. They have a magician show up. They have Santa Claus show up. It's just a great way, and presents for everyone. And
Yes.
and then there were even bikes donated. It was an amazing event, and it's to be applauded to the fact that these are underprivileged children. That this started years ago, and I remember when this started, this group, and there was a handful of kids,
Yes.
and it grew from a handful of kids to 183, and that's impressive. So I'd like to personally thank you. And food was good too.
Yes. So we just, it's just always a pleasure to give back to the community. And Our Youth, Their Future is an organization that I started back in 2010 as a result of a young man who committed suicide in our community. So we just want to try to give back to the kids, let them know that there are people and organizations out that care. And so we came up with a couple of annual events that we do. They're all free. And I mean, thank you to the administration, the business administration, for making sure that we have the space, making sure that we're able to come early to wrap gifts, making sure that we can come in early to set up. The mayor, first lady is always very supportive. All of our event sponsors and the restaurants that donate food. I mean, it wouldn't be possible without all of you and, of course, our members. And so it's just always a joy, especially during the holiday season, to give back. And I mean, it was record-breaking for us this year. And we were like, I think, at capacity. We didn't even have enough seats for everybody, and just the positive feedback and everything that went into it. So it was a really, really, really great event, and I just look forward to hosting it again next year. And so again, thank you to everybody who helped make it a huge success. And thank you for always coming out to support our Youth Your Future events.
Thank you, Council President. December 25th, Town Hall will be closed in observance of Christmas, but I want to thank our Police Department, Fire Department, which will not be closed. Those guys have to work, whether it's a holiday or
Sorry.
Sunday, a Monday, Tuesday, it doesn't matter, Super Bowl, Christmas, New Year's, they're out there working, and we want to thank you. I know you guys have to work Christmas, some of you.
Very much appreciate it.
Yep. December 31st, Monday, first night of Mars begins at 4:45. Fireworks at 9:15 and midnight. For tickets, visit firstnightmars.com. That's firstnightmars.com. That's our sober, dry New Year's Eve celebration here in Morristown. It's great. A lot of family people come. It's great. I've experienced it many years. So hopefully you can come out. It's a lot of fun. There's all kinds of events going on. So go to the website. You'll see all kinds of stuff happening. It's really a great way to celebrate New Year's Eve here in Morristown. January 1st, I will not see any of you until January. Well, in this capacity. January 1st, Town Hall will be closed, observes on New Year's Day. There's a couple of special notes before I end. We have a new Colonial coach. You guys have seen it in the back. So we have, so no doors are falling off or windows are popping out or brakes are going. So seniors have a nice new bus, which is great. And we have the Morristown Recreation Home Holiday Decorating Contest winners were 10 Franklin Place, and that is, bear with me, the Fox family. The second ward, 221 Speedwell, the Procthauser family, who we all know is a former deputy chief on the fire department. Ward 3, 67 Mill Street, that's the Lattimore family. Ward 4, 21 Edgewood Road, the Peters family. Each get a gift card, and that was for the home holiday decorating contest. Thank you for taking pride in bringing that holiday spirit into your neighborhoods. It's a wonderful thing. And I'll end on this. I want to wish all of you a wonderful holiday and a Merry Christmas and a holiday season and a happy, healthy New Year. Stay safe. Spend time with your family. Be grateful for all that we have today. Same to the citizens and to all that are blessed to live in this beautiful community. There are a lot of people that struggle out there every day. There are people homeless. There are people who are in dire straits. There's people in theaters of war all over this world. And I just want to let everybody know that as personally from my family to the residents and to this council, I appreciate everything you guys do all year long to make this town successful. Although I get some of the accolades, it wouldn't happen if it wasn't for you guys at the council level. So on behalf of the administration, we thank you for what you do for this community, and we thank all of you who work here for what you do and the citizens that stay active and are participating in the process. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to other presentations and reports. At this time, we're going to have the swearing in of Police Officer Vanessa, is it Appel? So I'll call up our Police Safety Director, Public Safety Director, I'm sorry, Michael Cochran.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council.
Corcoran. Corcoran.
Michael Corcoran, Director of Public Safety. I was here 2 weeks ago when we swore in Officer John Sweetman, and I had said 2 weeks ago that this is like really one of the best parts of the job, getting to welcome new members to the police department family. And tonight we welcome Officer Vanessa Appel to our family, but also by extension, her family to our family. And as she will look out for us, we will look out for her, and by extension, look out for all of you. So again, we welcome her tonight, and it's a great night as she kicks off her law enforcement career in Morristown. I just want to welcome some of the members of the Morristown Police Department that are here tonight. Appreciate you all coming out. Thank you for your hard work every day. To my right is Acting Chief Darnell Richardson, and we are, again, thrilled to have you here. She joins Officer Sweetman. She's actually been out there for a couple weeks. Officer Sweetman was sworn in 2 weeks ago, so tonight it's Vanessa's turn. So before I begin, I just want to talk a little bit about her bio. And she brings a very unique perspective here to Morristown because ordinarily when the police department introduces someone to the criminal justice system, where Vanessa used to work was the New Jersey State Prison System. So Vanessa saw really the last stop for a lot of people. So she brings a very unique perspective to our job here, where we are normally the initiators into the criminal justice system. So Vanessa graduated from West Morris Mendham High School in 2002, then went on to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree in law from Rowan University. Shortly after receiving her degree, she entered the New Jersey State Department of Corrections and served at the Edna Mahan Correctional Facility in Clinton. Served there for almost 7 years, ultimately rising to organizational structure, and was tasked with supervisory duties associated with the hospital clinical unit as well as the discipline unit. So indeed, she's accustomed to a lot of challenges of working in a prison system, which I think will suit her very well here in Morristown as well as a law enforcement officer. Interesting story about her pursuing her career. She found Morristown Police by coming to an open house here in 2016. A great tradition that I think we are going to definitely continue. I think it's a great really recruiting ground and recruiting tool to expose everyone to law enforcement and give everybody an opportunity to see what we do every day. So Vanessa is living proof, and she will be definitely a future ambassador for our open houses in terms of recruiting for the Morristown Bureau of Police. She's a graduate of the 91st Basic Police class at the Morris County Public Safety Training Academy. She's very excited to embark on a career protecting and serving a community that she truly cares about. So I'd like to call up now Officer Vanessa Appel. Sure, bring everyone. Absolutely.
I state your name.
I, Vanessa Appel,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments
and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the Office of Police Officer,
of the Office of Police Officer,
Morristown Bureau of Police,
Morristown Bureau of Police,
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations and welcome.
Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you all. Happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have I guess a brief presentation from Laura Cummings, Executive Director and Chief Engineer from the SMC-MUA.
Good evening. My name is Laura Cummings. I'm the Executive Director and Chief Engineer with Southeast Morris County MUA. We will be open also on Christmas and New Year's. I brought Drew Saskowitz today with me. He's our Water Quality Superintendent. So we wanted to provide everybody with a brief overview of the recent water quality violation notice that we had sent out. We sent out the second one recently. So just to begin, Drew's going to talk more about the actual notice, but I wanted to put the notice in context of what we do as water treatment. So, okay. All right. Yeah. So we talk about several types of public notices that we would issue from a water quality perspective. The most important would be an acute water quality notice. That would be considered a Tier 1, something we'd issue such as for boil water. And then we have a Tier 2 notice that was issued for the TTHM violation. That is not an acute issue. It's a water quality, it's a long-term exposure effect as far as that contaminant. So to put things in perspective, I just wanted to show a trend of the kind of the precursor to this violation. We have to add chlorine to the water in order to disinfect it, to protect everybody from pathogenic viruses, bacteria, things like that. So this trend is actually what happened over time with what we refer to as a chlorine revolution. So back at around 1913, this is the death rate per 100,000 people due to typhoid fever, which is a waterborne illness. So in 1913 is when Jersey City first started applying chlorine. And that was the start of what we call the chlorine revolution. Everybody else started following suit. And the death rate took a nosedive as everybody started disinfecting their water. So it eliminated, the disinfection process eliminates that acute issue in terms of protecting us from waterborne illness. The side effect of adding chlorine to the water is you produce chlorinated disinfection byproducts. And that's what Drew's going to talk about, and that's what the notice was about for the TTHM violation.
Okay, so a brief explanation about the regulation and the notification that we sent out. We are required by the US EPA and New Jersey DEP to monitor for disinfection byproducts, including total trihalomethanes, on a quarterly basis. So every 3 months, we go out and collect samples from 8 different locations throughout the distribution system. Those 8 sample sites were selected based off of historical data that indicated those were kind of the worst case scenarios for our system. So we've been monitoring since April of 2012 under the Stage 2 disinfection byproduct rule. In the third quarter of 2018, we had our first exceedance at any one of those 8 locations since we began monitoring in April of 2012. That one location was the Convent Station Post Office. We are attributing that exceedance to 2 things, really. One would be water age at the post office. So disinfection byproducts, THMs, will continue to form over time. Historically, the post office does not use very much water at all, and they are actually located, they're the sole service connection on a very large water main. So that creates a water age issue at that location that is not really representative of the rest of our distribution system. It truly is the worst case scenario for our system. The other thing we are attributing it to is a change in sourced water quality. So the authority owns and operates 10 different wells. We have a surface water reservoir, and we also purchase water wholesale from a couple different utilities. The source of the water at the Convent Station Post Office was one of our purchased water, surface water supplies. We purchased water from Passaic Valley Water Commission. They can send us either water that they treat at their Little Falls treatment plant or water that they purchase wholesale from North Jersey District Water Supply. That North Jersey District Water Supply does have an issue with THMs. So we took a few steps to mitigate the issue. One, we switched off of that purchased water supply and went to an authority-owned groundwater supply. The other thing that we did, we installed a fire hydrant at the end of the line by the post office there, and we were flushing that every day while weather permitted. Now it's once a week, to bring down the water age at the post office. We continued monitoring weekly after that third quarter sample that exceeded. And the fourth quarter results actually indicated that our mitigation steps proved to be effective. We were below the maximum contaminant limit of 80 parts per billion at all 8 sample sites, including the post office. We sent out the notification because compliance under this regulation works off of what's called the locational running annual average. So what that means is you take your most recent results, you average that with the 3 previous quarters for an annual average. That average has to be below the 80 parts per billion at each one of those 8 locations. Although the fourth quarter result at the post office was well below the MCL, when averaged with that abnormally high third quarter result, the average was 80.9 parts per billion. So that's why we had to issue out the notification again in the fourth quarter. We are fully anticipating that for the first quarter of 2019, when we sample in January, results should be similar to what they were in October. The actual discrete sample in October at the post office was 53.7 parts per billion, well below the MCL. So we expect it to be about the same in the fourth quarter, and that should be enough to bring our locational running annual average back down below the MCL.
Just a quick question. At the post office, you had a higher reading, and again, it wasn't a dangerous reading, but it was a kind of like an odd sample site. So when you go to the question of your 8 sample sites, are they typical of a typical community water line?
So,
Obviously, because the Covent Station post office wasn't.
right, we are monitoring currently under what's called the Stage 2 disinfection byproduct rule. Precursory to that rule was the Stage 1 rule. Under the Stage 1 rule, we collected samples from many other sample sites in the system, and the sites that had the highest results for both total trihalomethanes and haloacetic acids were then selected as the sample sites for the Stage 2 rule. So in order to be more proactive and protect public health and safety, you take your samples from the worst locations in the pool. So that's why that sample location was selected. Yes.
Is it likely that the results will hover around the maximum allowable limits, or do you see that it will dive comfortably below that?
I honestly foresee us diving comfortably below that. As I said, the fourth quarter was comfortably below the MCL. This exceedance actually triggered us to really take a hard look at the data and what was going on in the system. So in addition to flushing at the post office, we've done other things to improve water age throughout the system. We've changed our operating levels of storage tanks to keep them turning over more frequently and lower the water age throughout the system. So flushing will be ongoing at locations that we know have higher water age, and we're improving water age throughout the system, and we're going to be closely monitoring the source water quality. So any purchased water supplies will be keeping a closer eye on to keep us below this limit.
And I just want to add to that, this excursion that happened in the third quarter on the North Jersey supply was unusually high. And we've had meetings with New Jersey American Water and Passaic Valley Water Commission, and we'll be following up with North Jersey to better investigate exactly what happened to cause that high value to occur to begin with.
What are the alternatives to chlorination?
There are other types of disinfection.
UV?
UV, but UV cannot be the final disinfection before you enter into the distribution system. UV will disinfect the water, but it will not carry a disinfectant residual to keep the water safe and disinfected out in the system. There's ozonation, but again, that is not something that will carry a residual out into the system. Chlorine dioxide is another form of disinfection, but each form of disinfection carries its own type of byproducts that you create with it.
Okay. So in terms of moving forward, there's no like phasing out of chlorine. That seems to be the standard, and any other new technologies on the horizon that would, like I said, phase out chlorine, the use of chlorine?
Now, for example, at Passaic Valley Water Commission's plant, their effluent disinfection byproducts are extremely low. They upgraded that facility to include ozone as a primary disinfectant in the plant, and they still continue to add chlorine, but effective removal of the organics and the use of ozone helped reduce those disinfection byproducts. I think in this case, the focus is really on the treatment at the North Jersey's Wanacue plant and how they can better remove their precursor materials that would react with the chlorine. But in terms of changing the disinfectant, the only alternative I think we would have in the distribution system would be chloramination, but that's also something you have to be very careful about. It could end up affecting lead, corrosion, things like that. So, and it comes with other issues, nitrification. I prefer chlorine. So.
No other comments or questions from council members? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Laura, while I got you up here real quick, I know the Councilwoman Deeb had asked this, I think at a previous meeting. Is there anything that the Water Authority recommends for home use as far as filtration that would help? Does the Water Authority recommend anything if people call or go to your website? Do you guys recommend anything for home filtration?
No, we would not recommend any point-of-use devices. Our goal is to make it, the quality it's supposed to be at the tap. For people that are interested in putting in point-of-use devices within their home, we recommend that they go to the nsf.org website, and they have certified treatment systems for specific contaminants. But I do caution homeowners to be very conscious of the requirements for managing the in-home water systems. For example, some people might put on a carbon filter, like say on a refrigerator, to remove the chlorine. So it definitely makes the water taste a lot better. But if you don't manage and replace that cartridge as required, you can actually create a situation where bacteria are going to grow on that filter and affect the water that you're actually drinking. So you have to be very attentive to those details of managing those systems.
Could you give that site one more time to make sure that the clerk has
It's
it?
nsf.org.
And thank you for coming out.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I just want to ask one follow-up, but it's really not for you, Laura, but thank you and Drew for being here. I did receive an email from the SMCMUA with information, so I can circulate that so that the council has access to that information. My question specifically from the last meeting and the written responses. But what we didn't touch on was I did ask if the flyer was done in Spanish for obvious reasons. Perhaps if there was an alert, that I know we would probably do it anyway, but is there a procedure that we should look into at this point, or is that too premature at this point, or is it something that we should discuss offline?
You should direct that right at Laura on the issue.
Well, the flyer wasn't done in Spanish, and they're not required to do that, I don't believe. So my concern is if it wasn't an alert situation, how would we go about notifying the residents?
Great question to ask the Water Authority.
Sure. Right at the top of the notification, there was a portion in Spanish.
Oh, that's right, you did say that.
Advising people that if they needed it to be translated, please seek out to have it translated. And we do have employees at the authority that are fluent in Spanish that could relay the notification in Spanish if it was required.
Are there requirements if there's, this wasn't a major alert, but you had alluded to another form of an alert? Alert 1, I think.
Right, a Tier 1
Tier
violation.
1.
Yeah.
So in that situation, are there requirements to produce the flyer? I know you just have the line at the top, but to do it the entire thing in Spanish?
It will be very important to produce any notice, especially of that situation in Spanish, because Hispanic population that don't read English, if they see just a little thing in Spanish, they won't read that and they won't follow. But if they see the whole thing in Spanish, then they will pay attention to it. And being that we have 33% of Hispanic population here, right, Mayor?
Yes.
33%. So it is very, very important. Not just one portion saying, oh, if you need Spanish, go to this web or call. That don't work for Hispanic community.
So I think what we'll do is get in touch with our two representatives, and we'll make a formal request through our representative, through the council and the administration, to see if we can come up with a system that works.
Yeah, that would be good. We can
Okay.
get together and work something out.
Yep.
Yeah, it may not be as applicable in your other jurisdictions, but in our town, it's applicable with 33 to 35%.
Sure.
I thought
We
it was
can-
higher.
We can take a look at that. If you have someone in particular we can follow up with, I can do that.
I think the councilman would be a perfect liaison to that. Well, I can't say that, the council president has to say that. I'm kind of overstepping my authority here.
I'll reach out to,
Yeah, reach out to
Reach out
this
through
administrator.
administration, and then administration
And
will
we'll reach out to
and-
you, and
yeah.
then you can,
Because, I mean, I'm sure, you know, as
Councilman
a
Silva.
business, I mean, it's probably, I don't know many businesses that require, but I think more people, more businesses do it just, you know, as a gesture and courtesy because of the heavily, you know, Hispanic populations, you know, throughout, you know, all of our states. And so it would be nice if, you know, the communications could be dual, you know, English and Spanish. And so thank you for being willing to work that out so that, you know, going forward, you know, you guys can put together something where
figure it out.
it's both.
Yeah, thank you again for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. If no council members have any questions on items 3 or 4, the check and wire disbursements or revenue and budget
I
summary.
actually just have a comment on check and wires. Jillian, is it possible on the check and wires, because we get that 2 or 3 times a year, and we do appreciate it, could you classify it, rather than by date, by general ledger category and by general ledger category, and with a cumulative along with just the specific? Because I think if you see the cumulative and you see it by general ledger, you can see in an area where the total spend is, and it's actually easier to put it in context.
Got that, Frank? All right. All right, moving on to council liaison reports.
Oh,
Oh,
Parking
that-
Authority met tonight.
Oh, is there a holiday party tonight?
It's there. I didn't go, but they did have a holiday party
Yeah,
following the meeting.
thank you for skipping out and
I
being with
wanted
us
I'd rather spend the
tonight.
holidays with you. They are in the process of selecting an architect, so they're going to be soliciting proposals for the architect for Lot 10. And there's a lot of concern about that, as the mayor has mentioned in the past, that the architect should be somewhat blend because of its critical location in the center of town. Their reorganizational meeting will also be on the same night our reorganizational meeting is, which is January 8th, if anybody's interested. And I asked the question tonight with reference to the ordinance, and I guess it's us to do the ordinance to increase the time on the meters from 1.5 to 2 hours. And again, the request came from various members of the community, both to the Parking Authority and to some of us, just to give that extra half an hour for slow eaters, for the diners. Okay, so I don't have that problem. Okay. So maybe we can work on that ordinance for early next year.
Sure.
We can have it ready.
Great, thanks.
The Housing Authority met yesterday, and I'm pleased to report that the RAD application has been accepted. So now the director is in the process of coming up with a list of things that need repair and renovation, so they can submit it and get the money to get the project going. So they expect within, I believe, 3 weeks to a month. Am I right, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
They should be able to, you know, get some serious work underway.
On the Housing Authority note, I did receive a correspondence from the Executive Director of the Housing Authority with a concern that the council moves forward in a very quick manner because they've had now a few meetings, they have no quorum, and their business needs to be done for the seniors, and you need a 4th vote. The governor, we haven't had a governor appointment, we've been waiting, we've had the person vetted, we're waiting for the gubernatorial appointment, it's well overdue, 10 months now. We just had a resignation of Mike Cirillo. You also have another vacancy, right? Those are 2 vacancies?
2 vacancies.
The governor's appointment. So to at least have 4, the executive director is asking me to pass this on to you, Council President. At the next meeting, please appoint.
Yes, well, it's my understanding that the application deadline is the 31st.
Yeah,
And-
the problem we have is when the executive director has now reached out a couple of times, and I know that there's a 30-day wait, but sometimes the council needs to act because the seniors need their resolutions passed, especially for nutrition and other things that are important. And sometimes you can't wait, and those seats need to be filled with people that are willing to do work for the seniors and the housing.
So on that vein, can maybe the the administration provide that guidance to Council President? Because we always thought we've always been told you have to wait the 30 days. There's not really flexibility.
There have been times where the council has voted to appoint someone without waiting the 30 days if there is and it's in our code, that if there's an emergency or if there is a lack of quorum or if there's some action that needs to be taken and waiting 30 days is detrimental to that body, then the council can make an appointment without waiting 30 days.
So who would the Housing Authority make that determination, or
No, the council.
Council.
President would make that determination?
Well,
Okay.
the Housing Authority has reached out via the Office of the Administration, and I'm passing that on to the
Okay.
council. I'm going to give her the correspondence. The council president, I'm not going to speak out of turn, absolutely has the authority to make a motion to appoint someone to that board. If you have a person of interest that has applied for that position and you're 2 weeks away, if there's only one person that's applied for it and they're willing to serve, you absolutely have the right to make that appointment
Right, but
under
I
our
think
code.
we have about 6 or 7.
Right, so.
Most of those applications are kind of old. In fact, before when we appointed someone, we looked through all the applications and whittled them down because a lot of those people don't even live here anymore. I believe Bob and I think Allison and myself.
We all looked at it.
Well, you can wait till the next meeting,
Right, I was going to say,
because we just had the last housing meeting for
Where
the
the
year.
Sheba's going, we got till the 31st to accept applications, right?
we do, but then I think I asked the clerk to reach out to the current applicants to see if they were still interested, and the list that she supplied, they did express that they're interested, so, I guess, I don't know, to be fair and transparent, I mean, I understand the urgency, and I mean, if we need to have a special meeting, to make an appointment, but I think by fairness, council members would probably want to speak
Yeah.
with the candidates before we just, make a decision just abruptly, because we need to fill it. So if we need to call a special meeting for it, then maybe we do it that way. and just
Well, I
set
think
a
at this
time.
point, the housing has had its last meeting
Yeah, they
for the
meet next
year.
on the 28th of January.
So you have time, but I think that correspondence, which I'll send to the clerk to send to all of you from the executive director, that I don't think it should go past the next
No,
council.
I definitely was prepared for us to be able to make the
correct,
appointment
Counselor?
on the
I guess we
8th.
can get Margot to set up some interviews then,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll just, interview the applicants. and
Council
just
President?
for the first meeting.
Yes.
Council President, can Margot, or has Margot already verified all 7 or 8 applicants as living here and viable candidates? So we know already that those 7 or 8 that we have are legitimate?
There appears, it's my understanding, there's one candidate that there might be a question as to whether or not that person is a resident. And I spoke to someone who was going to look into that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, so let's do can you just formalize this week all of we only want everybody that's viable, that's credible, that, we can accept before you schedule the interviews?
Absolutely.
And then let's try to have all council members, I know it's holiday season, but let's try to get everybody, if you wish to interview, done before year end, so that when we have our meeting in January, we'll be ready to make nominations and appointments.
Council President, I just want to say the Environmental Commission did meet 2 weeks ago. We were also having a council meeting on December 4th, so I was not present at that meeting. And it was, apparently, the hydrology study was presented by the town engineer to the Environmental Commission. So I was not privy to that information. The hydrology study is about this thick. It's pretty technical. It's way beyond my area of understanding. I think for the benefit of the Friends of Foots Pond and for the benefit of the environmental sensitive people in town, it would behoove the council to hear the results of the hydrology study, if that's your pleasure, at the next council meeting, if possible.
Well, I did reach out to the business administrator to see if we can do something based on
I can take
her
that. I can
request.
answer
So,
that.
yeah.
So we're in the process right now. The Environmental Commission is in the process of researching to find an environmental engineer, not a civil engineer, Anthony, to make the presentation to the council. So it really gets done on that environmental level that I think that it deserves. Second thing, since you brought up Foots Pond, I just want the council to know, I think we're closing Thursday. We're closing Thursday. I was hoping to do it before this council meeting, but it looks like we're closing Thursday on the acreage over at Foots Pond. So look for the press release. When will that go out? It'll go out Thursday, and I think the total with the whole trail is like 25 acres. So it's really an amazing thing. So you brought it up, so I figured I'd throw it out there. But that's what we're going to do. The Environmental Commission now is researching for the right environmental engineer.
Thank you. And when I got your email, I did reach out to administration, and Jillian was very open to trying to make sure that we got the best person to come to, and Mayor, to give the presentation. And so,
Great.
thank you for addressing that so quickly.
So will that be at the January 8th meeting
Well,
or
I think
the
they
one
have to
after?
find, you're looking, right?
As soon as the environmental chair lets us know they found somebody, then we'll
Okay.
put it together.
And you'll let us know?
Oh, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Welcome.
you. All right, moving on to calendar of events. It's been a busy year, so I guess we're winding down. Regular business. We have no ordinances for introduction.
And we have 3 ordinances for public hearing and adoption this evening. Ordinance number O-42-2018, and ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 30 Land Development Code.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-42-2018.
I'll second it.
Opening up the public hearing for this ordinance. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard? Please come before us now.
Hi, my name is Debbie Weinstein, and I own a business in town, South Street Yoga and Nutrition. And I just want to encourage everybody to pass the ordinance. Since my sign was removed, my sidewalk sign was removed in March, our business has taken a 40% dive. And for a small business, that's really a challenge. So anything that can be done to pass it would really be a help to. I know a lot of small businesses who aren't here but feel the same way. So thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other members of the public on this ordinance, I'd like to close the public hearing and turn it over to council members for comments or concerns. Seeing none, call the question.
Okay, on the adoption of ordinance O-42-2018, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannicone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries. Ordinance 42-2018 is adopted. Ordinance number O-43-2018, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 30 Land Development Code, Section 2.F5, Utilities.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Opening up the public hearing on ordinance number O-43-2018.
Linda Carrington, 49 McCullough Avenue. And I see this I haven't read this ordinance. It relates to the installation of utilities at new developments. And in the New York Times, in the real estate section, was a very long article on a big building in Jersey City, 69 stories. And it's a certified green building. And as you recall, the town has a green building initiative, and we require energy efficiency. And this particular green building, certified, high-tech features with a keyless apartment entry and the use of a smartphone application. but the designers didn't anticipate that the building's energy-efficient windows and walls would create cell phone dead spots, dead zones, and interfere with their fancy application. And they ended up spending $400,000 buying a passive distributed antenna system to solve the problem, with the note that if they had the cellular provider do this, it would have been $2 million. Now, as you know from the presentations recently before the redevelopment board, you have these new efficient buildings coming in, and the live-work one is obviously going to be relying a lot on Wi-Fi. So I urge you to consider this and talk to whoever is making proposals about the danger of cell phone dead spots. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other members of the public wishing to be heard, I close the public portion. Any comments or questions from council members?
Council President, I did reach out to our town area coordinator with JCP&L, just because I questioned this, and I did vote. I did not vote, well, I abstained in the vote when this was introduced. And I did get some information that I think that might be useful just for general information. This is a really good idea. And so I want to thank and applaud the administration for doing this. For example, if we had had something like this in place prior to some of the development in town closer to our downtown, we wouldn't have those ugly wires that are just, you know, eyesores, basically. So this is being done in Milburn, so it's pretty popular, known town. So I just think I really want to applaud the administration for taking the initiative to do this, and it's a great idea.
Thank you.
You know, where I thought Linda was going with her comment was actually, access to Wi-Fi. You're always going to have dead space for cell phone in buildings. In my building, for example, with all the lead, we have a lot of dead spaces in our buildings, and usually it's up to the developer or the person building the building to make sure that they have the utilities for the building itself. I just want to put a footnote on this, and again, I think that this was a great idea. The storms that are coming more and more frequent, as the mayor has pointed out, this becomes more and more important. But where I wouldn't mind footnoting something here is, do we want to consider the town becoming a town-wide Wi-Fi? With a lot of municipalities are doing, because it's actually becoming a whole debate about equity. Everybody needing access to Wi-Fi for schools. Some kids can't afford Wi-Fi. It's part of a lot of the smart city initiatives that you're starting to see.
We're one step ahead of you, Bob.
You are good. You're all very good. Good.
Not yet,
Not yet?
but we've had the discussion.
But I think it's something to take a look at.
Yep.
Because I know it's going to be maybe an initial investment, but when you look at it, I look at it as more of an equality issue.
So just to follow up on what you said, and we've had this discussion, it's interesting that the schools give out these Chromebooks, and they can't get
have
on.
no Wi-Fi.
That's right. And that was the first bullet that hit me, saying, hey, wait a minute, there's got to be a blanketed free Wi-Fi. So we've actually had many discussions about the green, because I've had many inquiries about the town-wide Wi-Fi. So it is in discussion. Appreciate you thinking that. But that's where it initially started from, was these kids getting Chromebooks to go home, mostly in the more underprivileged, and not having the Wi-Fi. And
Well, I know that there's an organization through the school district
Yes.
that provides them with the portable
Yeah.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
They've identified all the children that don't have Wi-Fi
yeah.
in our
Oh,
district.
those are the ones who get there. There's probably still some that don't have any
Right.
Wi-Fi. So it is something that's important that should be something maybe we can look at as a town initiative. But I appreciate you bringing it up.
What will be the solution for buildings that have the situation of not getting
I
phone
have-
signal? Because one of the newest buildings across the hospital has that problem.
Well, when we build a 69-story building, I don't know, we'll have to look at it. Not building a 69-story building.
I know. But
Linda smiled, so that was funny.
one of the newest building across the hospital.
What new building?
One of the new buildings.
The apartment building?
The apartment building. People have to go out of the building to receive signal. So
Well, that's probably maybe if they're trying to tie into the hospital Wi-Fi. So you can actually tie into the hospital Wi-Fi here.
I'll tell you what we do. In the building, we have antennas throughout the building because you have dead space because of walls, construction, what have you. And I hate to be harsh, but it's up to the guy designing the building to
Yeah.
make sure that
I mean,
he
it's
has-
something that we could think about and put it on the planner's radar to when the developers are developing, it's something that they could look at, how they boost their Wi-Fi. I know the building I'm in Newark, they've added it all over, especially because it's sports entertainment, and it's more for online gambling. People are going to want to have access to Wi-Fi all the time. It's something that we can discuss with the planner and put on his plate and have him take a look at it and have some discussion with some developers on how they're dealing with it. It's a good topic.
Mayor, I'd
Yes, sir.
say, Jillian, if you want to give me a call on, I know two people. One is it's a distributed area, distributed antenna system network, and I know a fellow who's traveled all over the world installing these systems. And there's a local resident, he's a Morristown resident, he's also an Army veteran, and he started his own business, and this is what he does.
Sure.
So,
You get the contact of Jillian.
yeah, you give me a call.
See, out of a little conversation, look where we're going. Thanks, Bob.
All right, call the question.
On the adoption of ordinance 043, 2018, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Ordinance 043, 2018 is adopted. Ordinance number O-44-2018, an ordinance of the Town of Morristown and the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, establishing compensation for certain officers and employees of the Town of Morristown.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-44-2018.
I'll second it.
Open up the public hearing for this ordinance. Any members of the public wishing to be heard? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions or comments from council members? Seeing none, call the question,
On the
please.
adoption of O-44, 2018, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Ordinance 044, 2018 is adopted. There are seven resolutions for adoption on the agenda this evening. Are there any resolutions that any member of council would like to pull out for separate discussion? If not, I would ask for,
No.
Councilman
Oh, yeah.
Elms, which one?
I'm recusing myself from R226.
And can we pull, just quick questions, I promise not to dwell on it, 224, 225, and 226?
No, I'm only kidding.
I know, I'm sorry.
okay.
I do that for you.
223, 225. Okay, can I please have a motion to approve NMOS Resolutions 220 through 223, 2018?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolutions R-220 to resolution R-223.
I'll second it.
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries. Let's see. Resolution 224-2018, resolution canceling certain grants within the capital fund per the corrective action plan adopted by Resolution R-139, 2018.
My only,
I'd like to
Could I
make
have
a
a
motion to approve resolution number R-224-2018.
I'll move it.
I'll second
I move that you're going to second.
I'll second.
Seconded. Councilman?
Quick question, does this mean we didn't do the improvements and we didn't need the money on Altno, Clinton, and for the firehouse? Because the monies were $39,000 for the reconstruction of can't read my handwriting, and then improvements to Otno, improvements to Clinton Ave, and then expansion of the First Ward firehouse at $31,000.
The improvements were done.
But we didn't need the money?
This is relative to an audit recommendation. The improvements are done. These are grants that are on the books that date back to 96, 97, and 97 that are no longer applicable.
So you're just zeroing out the grants?
Correct.
And there were excess funds in the grants? Is that what it was?
The grants are being canceled.
Canceled.
And they're going to be raised in the 2019 budget.
Okay. But we're not using those grant monies?
Correct.
And we're foregoing those grant monies? but
Correct.
We did the improvements anyway?
Correct.
At our own cost?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Make sure you call Delaney up on that. Make sure you call your guy Delaney up on that. Just throwing that out there, Bob.
I got it right, though, right?
You got it right.
Okay, good.
But that's why we hire the auditor to, this is audit recommended, and auditor recommends you got to do this, you got to do it.
It's too bad. But I understand the accounting, it's the accounting principle. You got to credit balance the account.
Right. They've been carried for a number of years, and the recommendation is to cancel.
Okay, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Call the question.
Okay, on the on the adoption of R 224-2018, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries, resolution's adopted. Resolution R-225-2018, resolution designating official tow companies for the town of Morristown for the calendar year 2019.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number R-225-2018.
I'll second it.
Councilman?
Any complaints on these towing companies? From either the public or from the town? Any, because,
The clerk would have more information on that.
Not that is filtered
investigation.
into the clerk's office.
okay, so they all have clean records with?
Correct.
No police department's happy with them and everything?
All the inspections have been conducted and all paperwork filed.
We got a nod from the police department.
It's good. It's all good, Bob.
Okay, call the question.
Okay, on the adoption of R-225-2018, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries, resolution's adopted. Resolution R-226-2018, resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Morristown authorizing an escrow agreement with Bijou Properties LLC or its affiliate, providing for payment/reimbursement of town expenses relating to the redevelopment of all or a portion of the Morristown train station redevelopment area.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number R-226-2018.
I'll second.
This says what I think it says, and I'm pretty sure it says this. It's a nice footnote.
Say that three times fast.
It's a nice footnote to our redevelopment meeting. If I'm reading this right, basically what this means is the work that we all did on preparing for that redevelopment plan is actually going to be put into the development agreement and paid by the developer.
That's right.
That's right.
You want something? That's excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys should
We
be applauded
agree.
for that.
Thank
That's
you.
nice.
Thank you, Mr.
Normally that
Iannacone.
wouldn't have been done.
Nope.
No.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, call the question, please.
Okay, on the adoption of R-226-2018, Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Deeb?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Recuse.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries, resolution's adopted.
Council President,
Yes.
you about to close up?
Are we about to close up? No, we have a couple more items for
Make
discussion.
sure you just hit me before you close.
Okay. So, I mean, do we need to, we have under old business the residential parking ordinance.
No, not ready
so
yet.
we're
We'll
aware
talk
of
to you
that.
about it.
All right, so I guess we can just quickly, under new business, go over the board commission vacancies. And so our clerk has pretty much given us a copy of all the vacancies. I don't know, is it the will of the council? Do we really need to go through, every board that has vacancies? Or are you guys comfortable with acknowledging what we have and realizing that we need to make these appointments at the ones that are up at our first meeting in January, was January 8th, right?
You are correct.
Is the intent to appoint the water authority at the January 8th meeting or wait to the following meeting?
Yeah, because he's up in, is it February?
Yes.
Yeah, February.
But
Yeah,
for
so-
purposes of the housing authority, if there's other people that are interested in applying, do you want to encourage applicants? And they got till the 31st, I take it? Because I think what we're hearing is that we want to be able to fill all the positions so that
Yes.
they're assured to have a quorum.
Yes.
So maybe we can do something to promote, if anybody's interested in the Housing Authority.
Okay, so if you want to just run through, it's posted already, and the deadline is, so if you just quickly, re-announce that we still have the openings for the Housing Authority Board through the 31st.
Correct. There are currently 2 commissioner positions, 2 unexpired terms, one ending 9/5/2020 and one ending 9/5/2023. Those vacancies have been posted on the town bulletin board as well as on the town website. We will be accepting applications through December 31st, 2018. However, we can begin scheduling interviews for the candidates that have already expressed interest.
Okay. And again, I'd just like to ask that if council, please try to get your interviews, please try to have everybody scheduled, before the end of the year, so we're not going into the beginning of the year still trying to schedule, the bulk of the interviews.
It might be easier, given it's the holiday season, for people to reach out to their.
Directly?
Directly
To the candidate. That's always an option too, but I know,
That's why you provide all the phone numbers and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Actually getting.
I just want everybody to be prepared so that we don't have any hiccups at our January 8th meeting. We can go ahead and make these appointments. All right. All right, seeing no other items on our official business list for this evening, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry.
I asked for
Almost
1
forgot
minute.
about
You
you.
just blow me right off.
Oh, my goodness, Mayor, I'm so sorry. I'll turn it over to Mayor Doherty.
Man. So I just want to take a moment. Stefan, you got to tell us what you're wearing. That is awesome. I'm telling you. I was not letting this meeting go without recognizing one of the coolest shirts and ties I've ever seen for the holidays.
So there's my wife wouldn't let me wear the gold pants that go with it.
Thank you, Margarita.
Well, you're to be applauded. That's an outstanding shirt and tie. You're welcome.
Very nice. And while we're talking about attire, Veej, Councilwoman Davis is admiring your suit. I remember you clowned my little shirt that day, and I
believe it
haven't
was
worn
called
it
the Pirates
since.
of Penzance.
And so I told her I was not really for the, and she says, "Oh, I love it. He looks so dapper." And so I just,
You do.
since we're talking
You always
about
look dapper,
attire.
though, Veej.
Yeah. Okay. Was that all?
I just wanted to recognize the shirt
She's the
and
one,
tie.
Joan Rivers, like fashion police today. I don't know what the deal is with it.
Are you guys done over there?
Yep.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Merry Christmas,
Opposed? We're out.
Meeting adjourned.